Okay, so we still have a good few weeks until WrestleMania 41, but what kind of content creator would I be if I didn't put on my wrestling brain and try to predict it already? Now, of course, there's going to be so many ups and downs, that's right, I said that, before we get to WrestleMania, that things will start to become a bit more clear, but that's why this way is way more fun, and it also allows me to talk to you about my Cody Rhodes, John Cena, CM Punk idea. Because I think there is a big reason these two main events have become the synergy of WrestleMania, which makes no sense. I don't know why I said it that way, but at least we know they're confirmed. Night 1 is going to be CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, and Night 2 is going to be good guy Cody Rhodes defending his WWE title against horrible, awful person John Cena. Now, I think John Cena is going to win. That's right. In fact, I think he has to win in many ways. I mean, one, we haven't seen The Rock for ages, so he has to come out and do his eyebrow, be like, oh, we sold our soul, Cody and John, so this is what we have to do. But then you run into the issue that WrestleMania 41 on the Sunday will end on a sour note. I mean, not really. The Rock and bad guy John Cena winning the WWE title is going to get a lot of noise, but I understand the way that WWE sees it, which is why when Cody Rhodes is being beaten down, we are so much closer. And again, these are my crazy random predictions because I want to inject fun into the air. The glass breaks after Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and Bret Hart did their Hall of Fame thing the night before, or Friday, I think it is actually. He comes out, he can stun everybody. It'll probably be the greatest moment in WrestleMania history. It's not going to lead anywhere because I don't think Steve Austin wants to do another match, which is his right, but of course it means it ends with Cody Rhodes and Steve Austin standing tall, and that is the ultimate way to protect Cody Rhodes, right? And that's the big thing that people are worried about for some reason, like that's going to be an issue. But I guess it's better to be preemptive than it is to be reactive. And if you have, again, one of, if not the biggest star of all time, cementing the person that just lost the championship, I imagine that Cody Rhodes will be fine going into Raw or SmackDown, or whichever brand we decide to put him on. However, that's more of a short-term thing. Then what does John Cena do after that? What does Cody Rhodes do? Well, I think it ties back into some stuff we recently saw on SmackDown. Because we did not do that Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes talkathon for fun. It wasn't just like, we don't have any other ideas. I think we were planting seeds there to the point you can do a Cody versus a Randy. If Randy goes heel, you can do a Cody versus a Drew, which I think will come first. Or we can get into some kind of triple threat-a-thon, which actually ties into my Randy Orton idea that we're going to get to later, which does make it a little bit tricky, but again, I'll push hold on that one for the time being. But what it mainly does is it takes Cody Rhodes away from the WWE title. I would imagine by the time SummerSlam rolls around, we'll probably do Cody versus John Cena Part 2, but we've got a good 4 or 5 months before we get to Hot WrestleMania, which is why CM Punk is in that other main event, and actually it could throw a right spanner into the works. I think CM Punk should use WrestleMania to cash in his Paul Heyman favor, whatever that may be, but it essentially does end with Paul Heyman and CM Punk teaming up after CM Punk gets a win, and people say, well, Simon, that sounds like a heel turn, only if the fans decided to heel turn, and I would actually have him pin Roman Reigns. Now, again, I understand we are going into crazy territory here. But I don't want to see Seth Rollins take another pin from CM Punk. I think he's sort of done his job in that sense. But also story-wise, it's way better. Because if Seth Rollins loses a match because of Roman Reigns and he never got beat, I actually think we can take Seth Rollins and move him into a much more interesting position post-WrestleMania where he essentially has a breakdown. He goes absurd, he goes totally crazy because he cannot handle that CM Punk keeps getting himself into these positions. And also, CM Punk beating Roman Reigns means we can get to the CM Punk Roman Reigns feud eventually, and when it is one-on-one, because WWE can do one of their fun triple threat ending things here that they love to do, when someone's about to pin somebody else, but then the other guy pushes them out and takes the pin, you're like, well, it doesn't really count as a victory, but it goes down in the record books. But when you do CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, it just allows Roman Reigns to get the win in a singles match, and I'd have to imagine there's some backstage politics going on. What do I do? Nothing. I'm going with my tum-tum, and that ticks that box as well. And then what does it do? CM Punk can walk out onto Raw or SmackDown, wherever he wants to be, and say, hey, John Cena, remember that time I went totally off on you and The Rock and I called you both bald? Well, now I'm coming for your WWE title, which is what he has been going on about since October 2024. That was right after Hell in a Cell, wasn't it? Around that time. That's like a good 6, 7, 8 months, so eventually has to make good on that. And maybe that's what the Paul Heyman favor is. Maybe Paul Heyman just sides with him because he decides, I like you more, CM Punk. And then the favor comes into play after the fact, which is you have to go get me a WWE title shot. And then be it Backlash or whatever the flub you want to do, maybe you do hold that off until SummerSlam. I don't know. It just sounds like John Cena is going to be more apparent or appear more than maybe we were thinking that he was going to do. But CM Punk Punk versus John Cena is absolutely a SummerSlam main event worthy match, so you probably could stretch it out till there. And maybe if John Cena isn't going to be around, but you would still like to do that match, don't forget as well, SummerSlam's 2 nights this year, so you are going to have to need mad star power. It could be Seth Rollins that is hunting down CM Punk because he just can't handle it. But actually, what you also do there is Seth Rollins could take all of his hate and put it on Roman to be like, it was your fault we got here in the first place. And then you got a SummerSlam card of maybe CM Punk versus John Cena and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. And so many people have been asking for that singles match. It has been 11, 12 years in the making. And then in terms of Cody Rhodes, maybe that's when you hold the Randy Orton off feud too. We'll now bring Randy Orton into this. You can argue this either way. And I think Randy Orton will probably win. Like if you put a gun to my head and be like, calm down, bro, it's definitely illegal. But I think Randy Orton should probably win because he's lost way too many matches. He lost to Drew McIntyre. And he is Randall Keith Orton, right? He's a massive star, one of the best of all time as far as I'm concerned. Definitely one of the best of his generation. I mean, watch his fundamentals, which sounds like a massive nerd thing to say, but it is true. But if you want to sort of tell the story of Randy Orton getting a bit, mad and going heel, well, he could lose here too. That could be the reason he has lost all these matches, because it's actually been pre-planned and eventually has a meltdown and he takes it on Cody Rhodes for whatever reason you want to come up with, right? There's plenty that you can choose from. Or, of course, he wins, and that's why he goes after Cody Rhodes. But you don't really need that impetus unless Cody still has that title, right? Drew McIntyre can do whatever he wants because he's an out-of-his-mind bad guy, and he's very, very good at it. Whereas if Cody still had the championship and then Randy Orton loses at WrestleMania and then he's in a title match, like, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's 2 + 2 = potato. And if you're Kevin Owens, you should be like, excuse me, you can't go back to the Kevin Owens-Cody Rhodes feud. I think we've done it enough. But, I mean, this is much of a muchness. You can kind of choose it because, again, without the championship, you can certainly justify it. I think either, he goes after Cody because he loses or he wins and then there's some kind of shenanigans. But I think all of these things are then taken care of. And actually, now I think about it, if Randy Orton is going to go heel, you don't want to do that straight away after Mania. You want to plant the seeds, which you've already kind of done, and maybe he doesn't go heel to like a Backlash or a Money in the Bank, whatever the flub is in between. And then, yes, that's another match that you do at SummerSlam because, again, you are just loading that thing up. And look, there's a chance, we'll get to the Jey Uso thing now right away, why not? There is a chance that Jey Uso isn't even the WWE or the World Heavyweight Champion come SummerSlam. And if he is he going to be in a main event spot? Is he not going to be in a main event spot? I don't know. I mean, I do think he's going to win the championship at WrestleMania Night 1 or Night 2, whenever the hell we do it, which he should do. I presume it'll be Night 1. He absolutely should do, especially after that sort of heavy heat angle we did with Jimmy Uso. You need to get the revenge, and Jimbo Uso should be there as well. But then we have to kind of see how this goes. And at the moment, I can't even figure out who Jey Uso's opponent would be, which is going to be actually really interesting. Maybe we do the Gunther rematch, and Gunther wins it back there. Like, we do not know what kind of longevity Jey Uso is going to have as a top guy. Look, I'm all down for it. I want to make it clear, just because that's the back and forth that the internet has constantly. I love trying out new guys. I do think he'll make it work. And even if he doesn't, who the flub cares? I know I always say this has become my catchphrase, but we have so much wrestling on television. Try new things. Throw things at the wall. If they stick, great. If they fall down and make a mess, all right, we'll clean it up and we can move on to something else. But I think it would be foolish to ignore all the cheers that Jey Uso has been getting. But you take my point, as I do look forward to SummerSlam. I just know that WWE is going to want to make sure they break records with that, because if they do, then you'll have 2-night WrestleMania. Then you'll have 2-night Royal Rumble, you have 2-night Survivor Series. It will be too much. I don't want that. I think WrestleMania should be the only one, but sadly I'm not in control of TKO, so there's nothing I can do about it. But you see how we could place these Jenga places in place, which is the stupidest thing I've ever said in my entire life, and I think it's good. And I think seeing CM Punk and John Cena go after the WWE title all these years on, with everything that could go along with it, and of course, if there is a Paul Heyman factor, Roman Reigns would be hunting him down as well, but it would be Seth Rollins getting in the way. That is layered storytelling. And obviously Drew McIntyre would have to probably beat Damian Priest too in order to justify him going after Cody Rhodes. Now, the rumor was that Drew versus Cody was going to be a WWE title program coming out of WrestleMania, but that was before the John Cena heel turn, which is why we should always take the stuff that we do here with a pinch of salt. I like Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. I think it's getting way harsh criticism from some people. I think we're forgetting there is a story there, and they're both brilliant. Had awesome 2024s, but I just think Drew will get the victory because, again, then he can shift himself up the top top of the card. And maybe everything we do between Randy, Cody, and Drew is essentially heading to whoever is going to win between CM Punk and John Cena in this crazy world I created. But do not forget Damian Priest. I'm a bit worried he's going to get lost in the shuffle here. Not in a bad way, he'll still be featured on TV, but he is better than people are giving him credit for, and it's not fair. And it annoys me because I'm a massive loser. So yes, anyway, as I've got my list up here, I'm saying Cena beats Cody. We've talked about that. Jay beats Gunther. I think we have to do that. Punk beats Roman. Seth Rollins just stood there with egg on his face. And yes, it's the one that you always get mad at me about. Charlotte Flair should beat Tiffany Stratton. And I think we have seen this play out in real time. I don't much like the feud. I don't think the WWE has capitalized on it in the way that I was expecting. I think we probably pulled the trigger too early, and we've had too many SmackDowns to try and make this work. But in their promo off, when we drew a line down the screen and had them yell at each other, Charlotte's Flair experience shined through. I don't think it's bad for Tiffany Stratton to have to have gone through that, whether it was planned or not. I would imagine they had a post-mortem after the fact. And as long as Tiffany Stratton learns from that, it's all good. She's already in a precarious position because she is not really a proper babyface. She kind of organically turned. We haven't really changed much with that character. Not that we should do, but it means it's kind of hard to her to lean into that. And I just think extending this out for 3 matches allows Tiffany Stratton to work with Charlotte Flair. And as long as she walks away with the belt again after the 3rd one, and we've established her as a bigger star, it's the right thing to do. I mean, if she just beats Charlotte Flair, well, who does she go on to feud with then? I would get as most fuel out of this as you possibly can. And once again, maybe it's a total bust, but as long as it does walk away with Tiffany Stratton having that belt as a 2-time champion, then everything is going to be okay. And then we can do more stuff like that promo segment, and we can throw more stuff at Tiffany, and she's only going to learn and get better and better and better. I don't think we should use the term green. I think she's beyond that. But if you want to go with inexperience, well, how do you get away from inexperience? You give someone experience, and there's few people out there as experienced as Charlotte Flair, which must have been the reason they did this, especially at this level. Like, it doesn't feel like a super duper whooper mega feud, but there is potential to it. So yes, I just think that. And if you want to prove me wrong, roll around June time, I'll be here still making content, and you can yell at me, but I'm still going to go with it. I think the Intercontinental title match is now going to be Bron Breakker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. I think we've made that clear. I think Bron Breakker will walk away with the title, as he should do. I think Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio will finally fall out. That will be the end of the Judgment Day. And then Penta is kind of there licking his wounds, but again, there's so many other people that can be pinned in this thing. I mean, probably Finn Balor, poor guy. He is an absolutely underrated talent, especially of the modern generation. But it's a good challenge for Bron Breakker to overcome. It puts Penta in a good spot, really, for the IC Championship. Everyone likes the IC title again. And Bron Breakker storming away with it for what is now a pretty long reign. We must be coming up to, what, 7, 8, 9 months, maybe 10? I can't remember. Maybe it's over a year. I don't know. But there's no reason for him to lose it right now. And I don't want all championships to become massive reigns, which we kind of did fall into, but Bron Breakker is benefiting from it, and that's just a fun 4-way. Now, when you start going through this, yes, there's probably too many multi-man or multi-person matches on this WrestleMania. We did it at WrestleMania 2000, so why not do it again? Speaking of that too, you're probably going to get the SmackDown Tag Team Ladder match, which is going to be, how am I going to remember this? Street Profits, and then Los Garzas or Legado del Fantasma, and then you're going to have Pretty Deadly, and then you're going to have DIY, and you have the Motor City Machine Guns, and probably somebody else that I've forgotten about. None of that is justified because they've all gone after the championships and lost, but we're still going to do it. I think this is a Bron Breakker situation. I think the Street Profits should win. That thing, I like the fact we've hot potatoed it a little bit, but now we kind of need to sit in with it. We need to make some brand new teams, and we just need to shine a brighter light on it. Again, I've enjoyed the narrative. It's just been a bit wishy-washy. And as for the Raw Tag Team titles, it was quite literally the New Day going, can we have a title shot, please? And the War Reddit's been like, of course you can. We're not Vikings anymore, so we're not going to chop your heads off. But ultimately, the New Day winning those championships in the most devious way possible hopefully salvages this heel turn. Again, not their fault at all. We just didn't capitalize on it enough. It probably should have been the Royal Rumble. Like Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston turned sort of mid to late December, maybe early December. Maybe it's actually late November. But the point was, you could have stretched out to the Royal Rumble and changed it. We didn't do that, and there was the opportunity to do it. It is a shame, but again, let's not worry about what we didn't do and worry about what we can do going forward. So yes, Street Profits walk away with the belts. The New Day walk away with the belts. I secretly sit here hoping that we are going to push them together again, but that's never going to happen. Which brings us to the US men's title, and I think this is going to be a multi-man too, although there is that last man standing match on SmackDown, which is Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu. So we could get to Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight one-on-one. I actually prefer that. But if we do Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight versus Braun Strowman, potentially versus Solo Sikoa, because look, WWE does enjoy telling the same stories, sometimes over both Raw and SmackDown. So even though we're doing that with Finn and Dom, Dom. You could see it between Solo and Jacob as well, but the switch here is that Jacob for 2 should become the US champion. I know LA Knight hasn't held it for that long. I think it's a shame, but doing a multi-person match, which is why I think WWE may head in this direction, allows LA Knight to lose it without being pinned, and he shouldn't be pinned. He's too over. He's too much of a star. And then you can go into the one-on-one feud, and let's face it, given where they are in the company, LA Knight probably should be trying to get as much star power onto Jacob for 2 as possible. But Jacob for 2 is kind of the SmackDown version of Bron Breakker. He needs to have a belt. He's not going to get in the main event scene for a while just because it's so crowded. So let's just build him and build him. Of course, there's a plan B to this where he doesn't lose, or he doesn't win, I should say, and then you can spin it off into Solo Sikoa versus Jacob for 2. But I'd like to see that for the belt. I just would. They have so much story there and so much history. I think it becomes way more fun if we throw a championship in there as well. Although, again, I'm mugging off LA Knight here, which is not fair. But if you are going to demand an answer from me, which you should do, that's the point of this video, I think you do have multiple people in it, and I do think Jacob for 2 wins. Which brings us to another multi-person match. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. This one has been so silly. I've talked about this before. I still think it's entertaining. I think wrestling can be goofy every now and then, and everything is all good. It hasn't been confirmed, but of course it's going to be a 3-way. I like the idea of Bianca Belair winning. I just do. Once again, we are throwing that belt around a little bit. But I think if Bianca Belair beats Rhea Ripley, not only can you kind of maybe sort of shift towards that singles match, although you can do it the other way too. Bianca Belair beats Io Sky, then Rhea's like, oh, what am I, chopped liver? And you get into it that way. I don't know, man. I think at SummerSlam, I want to see Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley for this title one-on-one. I still have this sort of bee in my bonnet that Naomi could beat Jade Cargill, and then it turns out that actually Bianca and Naomi were in cahoots the whole time. I think that's very, very interesting. Bianca Belair as a heel, I never would have pushed for because she's such a good babyface, but she's been so mad at Rhea Ripley during this feud for being an asshole. She's very good at being like, man, I'll whoop your ass. But actually, to me, she still comes across as a good guy because what she's saying is absolutely true. And I would say it's probably Rhea that is coming across more as a bad guy. But I guess it just goes to show if she does need to flip that trigger and she does need to lean into it, she absolutely can do it. Bianca Belair, there's another one. So underrated, it's ridiculous. But if I am right about my dumb Naomi Bianca Belair idea, which I'm probably not, by the way, but I'm saying it, Naomi getting a victory over Jade Cargill would be a massive surprise. I don't think it's that big a deal. That's no disrespect to Jade, who I think obviously comes across as a WWE superstar. But sometimes I think the story just demands that you do something. I just love the idea of Bianca and Naomi being this horrible heel duo with the Women's Championship. And then, yeah, I like the idea of doing Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley because they have great matches and they're two typically top stars. Not sure where Naomi fits into all of this. That's not true. I do. I just looked on my screen there when I got my information. I imagine it's going to be Chelsea Green versus Zelina Vega. Maybe we'll do a multi-person there as well, but let's not because we've got way too many. Because the Zelina Vega thing just isn't going away, even though she lost to Piper Niven. That could be a match that you do on the SmackDown or the Raw around WrestleMania. But if Chelsea Green leaves the WrestleMania season still as that champion, you can continue to pretend that she's a heel, but she's not really. Everybody loves her. I understand that she's got her groupies with her, but that's kind of just made her more of a entertaining figure anyway. I would take Naomi, bad guy Naomi, going after Chelsea Green for that US championship. Again, I've just thought of that one off the top of my head. Jade would have to fit into that as well, because obviously if Jade does lose at WrestleMania, it's going to be by nefarious means. Naomi's not going to win clean, but these are the people that I think should be fighting for that US championship, especially because I've got a 2-man or 2-woman power trip idea in my head. Bianca Belair as the women's champion and Naomi as the US women's champion. Sign me up, man. That flipping rule. Also kind of feels like we are going to do Liv and Raquel versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus Natalya and Maxine Dupree. I am still on the fence with this one because on Raw we are doing Lyra versus Bayley for the IC title. But what did Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan talk about on Raw? Oh, we should talk about everything that's going down with Lyra and Bayley. It's going to annoy me. I'm probably going to do a video on it because I love these women's tag team championships. WWE is not capitalizing on what Liv and Raquel have done. But, you know, not to have the women's IC championship on WrestleMania, I think is a mistake. But at the moment, look, we've still got loads of weeks to go, but it's just what it feels like. And for Lyra to be like, oh, I don't care about my IC title, and instead I'm going after a tag team one. And that's what it kind of feels like with the Natalya Maxine Dupree thing. Like Maxine just walks up to Adam Pearce and goes, I would love to be in a tag team. Adam Pearce says, let's talk about it. What are you going to talk about? It's a yes or no answer. But I can only imagine they're being put there so that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez can beat them. That protects Bayley and Lyra, but you've got the championships on the show. That could be another one that happens on the Raw or SmackDown over WrestleMania weekend. I just think after that Bianca Belair Flair, Naomi, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez match, which was so good, we should have jumped on it. So it's a bit like a New Day situation. I'm worried it's going to pass us by, but that's where I'm leaning. I think it is going to be that, and I think that, yeah, Liv and Raquel will hold on to those belts. I've already talked about Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, but I do need to make a decision. I'm going to say that Randy Orton punts him right in the head, 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul is confirmed. I'm going to keep this one nice and simple. I cannot live in a universe where Logan Paul beats AJ Styles. I'm a little worried that is going to happen. But AJ Styles, one of the best wrestlers of all time, he changed the game in many ways. So look into my eyes, this cannot happen. I'm going to have to assume we're going to get a 6-man as well. That is probably going to be Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and Santos Escobar. They seem to be buddies, but not really. Taking on American Made, where we'll probably expose Chad Gable to be El Mexican Andrade Americano. That's not true. Although I'm not so sure about that one, because that does feel like a Raw SmackDown match. But there's no point doing that angle and not doing it. And of course, you would give it to Rey. I don't think it's going to be Santos Escobar. It's probably going to be someone else. I don't think it's going to be Phoenix, who debuts this week on SmackDown, because all the rumors are saying it's going to be Andrade versus Phoenix. If you do that at WrestleMania, Phoenix has to win. We've got to do what we did with Penta, make sure he gets on a winning streak to teach, for lack of a better term, the WWE audience that he is a big deal and we should care. And I suppose for my very last prediction, as I think I've gone through everybody, actually I tell a lie. I was about to say you should re-debut Rusev at WrestleMania. No, you shouldn't. He should be on the Raw. The Raw after WrestleMania, not SmackDown. SmackDown's too far away. I want to capitalize on the buzz that we do get. All reports suggest that he has re-signed. I mean, I put up a tweet that was just a heart emoji to, I think it was WrestleOps or WrestlePurist or someone that had put this news out via PW Insider. And so many people going, Simon, why do you care? I think people have forgotten how much I used to love Rusev and how much I love Mira and AEW, but obviously there was just a disconnect there. I don't worry about, well, I'm happy to talk about it because I think it's fun and it's interesting, but again, we never really know, so I like to tread carefully. But I don't know what happened at AEW. I don't know whether he did turn stuff down. I don't know whether he got pitched terrible ideas and he was right to say, I don't think we should do that. I have no idea. All I do know is that throughout his Rusev run, I was a huge fan. Again, you can go back to 2019 and earlier and see me going crazy about this man. And when he was being booked badly by the Vince McMahon version of WWE, I once sellotaped Save Rusev signs onto my face. I don't know what I was thinking, man. That's bad content, but I still did it because he was so good. I really did enjoy everything he did as the Redeemer in All Elite Wrestling, and I was very lucky to meet him at the first All In when I was working extra for AEW, and we had a lovely chat. I got to tell him I thought he was great, and he's a lovely dude, right? So when you do meet someone you look up to and they're nice, that's it. You're locked in for life. But yes, I was going to predict him at WrestleMania. Let's not do that. Again, I've already given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 or 17 matches as I zoom through. That's a lot. I mean, let's call it 18 and we'll round it up. 9 matches a day defeats the point of 2-match WrestleMania. So while I want everyone to be on the card, I would absolutely shove someone Raw and shove someone SmackDown. But re-debuting someone like Rusev is going to get lost in the shuffle, and just doing it on Raw is what people expect. That's probably what Aleister Black will be. I think Aleister Black will be on the SmackDown, because I think there was a April something in that tease that suggested it would be that Friday, and then you do Rusev on the Monday, and I'm going to be super happy about that, again, just based on watching it as a fan, not getting into the politics or the behind-the-scenes stuff. But yes, they are my early Super WrestleMania predictions, and when we do our real ones in a couple of weeks, we can go back to these and realize that I'm an idiot, and then it will be okay. There's probably somebody I've forgotten. You're screaming, Simon, you forgot about this person, but you know what you do? Yeah, drop it in the comments. Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is me talking about CM Punk and John Cena and Cody Rhodes and all of that nonsense that we should do. Otherwise, just interact and go in that description to click things. You can go to grillermind.com/Simon. Use your time to get 10% off. These are the fitness supplements I use, and some products are 25% off, especially their pre-workout. Best pre-workout you're ever going to try. I swear by it. Simon Miller 316 on all social media. Simon Miller on Cameo. They're cheaper at the moment, like $7. I'm doing some sort of a sale. Cameo made it up for me. That's totally fine. I am on ProWrestlingTees.com for Simon Miller, SimonMillerBigCartel.com for merchandise, and TikTok, Simon J. Miller. That's it. Keep enjoying wrestling, my friends. It's there to make you feel good in your tum-tum. Ignore the negative Nancy's. They're probably grifting anyway. I'll see you soon.